that's been trending. So I don't know if you guys saw this, but what's his name? Tory Lanez. For a minute I used to call him Tory Lanez. I don't know. I just used to read it that way, but it's Tory Lanez. So obviously we know he's serving time for shooting Megan Thee Stallion and all of that. I think he got 10 years or so, whatever that happened. But now some new information has come out. Some new evidence is coming to light. So one of the people who was there, Megan's friend Kelsey, right? Her bodyguard has come out to say that he overheard Kelsey speaking to someone saying that, hey man, I was actually the one who shot Megan. It wasn't Tory. How true is that? We don't know, but it's some crazy shit. So we're gonna watch this press conference that's happening. So I think it's the lawyer of the bodyguard that's talking. It's not the actual bodyguard. I think it's the lawyer of the bodyguard, or Tory's lawyer, I think. Not too sure who's speaking, but I'm gonna watch that and see what they say.
Prison stabbing attack. His father and supporters.
Oh yeah. And he just survived the stabbing. You even forgot about that. He survived apparently he got stabbed 14 times. Yikes. Real deep shit. So, but I guess he's okay and he's in hospital and everything. So this information has come out. So we're gonna watch that, see what they say.
As Tory Lanez recovers in a hospital after a prison stabbing attack, his father and supporters gathered today to demand his release.
The former rapper was convicted of shooting Megan Thee Stallion. Fox 7's Christy Fajardo tells us about the claim of new evidence.
Bringing it to light now was made necessary by the events.
So who did they say? I'm just here. They said who is saying this?
Convicted of shooting Megan Thee Stallion. Fox 7's Christy Fajardo tells us about the claim of new evidence.
Bringing it to light now was made necessary by the events of this week.
Just days after rapper Tory Lanez, also known as Daystar Peterson, was attacked in prison, his attorneys are calling on Governor Newsom to pardon or commute his sentence, insisting they have new evidence Lanez didn't shoot superstar Megan Thee Stallion, but it was instead her former best friend, Kelsey Harris. And they say Harris's one-time bodyguard, Bradley James, was spurred by conscience to come forward.
Mr. James informed Unite the People that he was witness to the conversation Miss Harris had where she stated she had the gun, she fired it 3 times. In essence, Mr. Peterson never shot anybody.
Walter Roberts says the
They
statement
never shot anybody. Whoa. That's definitely some new evidence. So, but now the issue is coming in that people are saying, who is this bodyguard? And why does Kelsey have a bodyguard? Because as far as we know, Kelsey is not famous, or she isn't in the need of a bodyguard. So what is happening? Sorry, my audio is sounding crazy. I'm getting mad feedback. Ugh. I don't know what's happening. The fuck? Gosh, sorry. Let me just try and fix this. One thing about audio, like, if you guys know audio, it's one of the worst things because you never know what the fuck. Okay, I'm gonna pull this out. If I pull this out, it's gonna stop my recording. Then it's gonna just make it pop. I don't know where the feedback is coming from. It's really distracting. Anyway, it's fine. Yeah, so the criticism is coming from, like, who is this bodyguard and why isn't he giving this information himself? And like, why did Kelsey need a bodyguard? So they're wondering what's happening there, whether this information is legit or it's just another ploy that Tory is trying to play to, get out.
With another witness who saw 2 women fighting. Lanez is serving a 10-year sentence after being convicted of shooting Stallion in the Hollywood Hills back in 2020. The singer testified against Lanez and in an op-ed wrote, quote, "Even as a victim, I have been met with skepticism and judgment. We didn't hear back from Stallion's attorney and couldn't reach Harris for comment." Lanez's lawyers say they've had the new evidence for months and were waiting on the appeals court to rule. But when public...
Oh, they've had this new evidence. That's interesting. So they've had the new evidence for months, but we're waiting. They're waiting for... Yo, fuck, man. This shit is mad annoying. They had this new evidence for months, but they were, I guess, waiting for whatever they were waiting for.
After he was stabbed in prison.
He was stabbed 14 times.
The rapper's father, Sunstar Peterson, says his son is recovering remarkably well, but recounted the story Lanez told him.
And I quote, "Dad, I thought it was my last. And having made my peace with God, I said, okay, God, is this how it's supposed to end for me?" But God said no. God told him, "Do not give up."
The family and legal team insists Lanez was never given a fair trial, raising questions about the prosecution and investigation. But now...
Yeah, no? All right, that's interesting, because his dad also spoke. Let's listen to the dad, what the dad is saying.
My name is Sunstar Peterson, well known as the father of Tory Lanez, but his family affectionately knows him as Daystar Peterson. This may seem not even traumatic today, but it does to me. The reason why he bears the name Daystar is because I was scheduled to speak in a conference in Washington, D.C. back in the early 2000s. Back in the late 90s. My wife and
Daystar. That's a crazy ass name. Never heard that name. Daystar.
Stayed in a hotel across the river in Northern Virginia. I was up praying before that conference that I was supposed to speak at that evening. As I paced back and forth in my hotel suite praying, I began to quote the scripture from 2 Peter chapter 1, and it states, "For you will do well to take heed as unto a light shining in a dark place until the day dawns and the day star arises in your heart." I didn't know whether it was a boy or girl.
Okay, can I fast forward a bit? Sorry.
That question was never answered in Pilate's judgment hall. But I answer it for you today because Jesus Christ himself told us what the truth was. Truth is not a philosophy. It's not an ideology. It's not a doctrine. And it certainly is not a religion. Truth is a person. His name is Jesus Christ. He said, "I am the way, the truth,
and the
that
light
leads you to life."
Yeah, no?
It was actually launched so that my family would not just be the ones benefiting from whatever fame or fortune, but so that all people, anywhere that need a shelter could come under that umbrella. That's the reason why it was launched by Daystar's brother initially, who is known as Wolfgang Peterson. So I thank all of you who have
Wolfgang. So
who have stood with us.
Did he also get the name Wolfgang from the Bible? Because he said he got Daystar from the Bible. So did he get Wolfgang from the Bible as well? That's a crazy ass name.
Those of you standing here today with Free Tory t-shirts, Jono, can I have that t-shirt right there, please? Those of you who are wearing these and remembering this person, because I want you to understand that from the beginning of this, I stood as far back as 2021, and I watched where a spin doctor for the NBA, now high-powered attorney out of New York, Alex Spiro, ran a campaign to turn my son into a monster in the eyes of the world. At that point in time, God said to us, there is a time to be silent and there's a time to speak. We chose to be silent. And now we've been silent for way too long. The hour demands that we speak. One of the reasons why I stood silent is because I trusted in God, but I also did not want any blowback to affect my son, who was sitting in the belly of the beast. That's why I chose not to speak at that time. I am his father, and that is the second capacity in which I stand before you today as the spokesperson and mouthpiece for my family.
Yeah. No, shout out to the dad, man. That's a dad advocating for his kid. That's beautiful. That's at least he's got somebody fighting the good fight on his side outside. So yeah. All right. So that's the new evidence. I don't know what they're gonna do with that, because I mean the court that the case has been tried. You know, he's been given a verdict. He's been sentenced. So I guess, but he can't have the sentence overturned. You know, I guess they just have to appeal new evidence. But we'll see how much weight the evidence holds, and because it's not evidence, it's the testimony. So it's of somebody who wasn't even there. The nigga just said that he heard that she's the one who shot. So it's not like he was there and saying, no, I saw. So I don't know, because then she can just come out and dispute and say, no, I never said that. I wasn't even speaking. So it can get difficult. It can get really difficult to determine whether what that bodyguard was saying is accurate, is true. You know? So yeah. But anyway, all the best to Tory, man. Hopefully he's recovering well and all that. Free Tory! Free Tory!